Next to me is Lisa Allen. You are a animator at Blue Sky, right?
An animator at Blue Sky, yeah.
How does your job at the studio look? How does your daily work look there?
Oh, well, I drive myself to work. I live out in the countryside of Connecticut. I show up at the building that our studio is in, and I walk down my row. And my cube is in a little log cabin. All the animators decorate their cubes in like crazy ways. There's like a pirate ship and a tree house, and then I'm in this little log cabin. So it's this row of like, crazy stuff. So that's just my morning. I just walk in there, sit down at my desk, and then I start animating.
How do you get work assigned? Like, can you pick shots, or are they just brought to you?
But all right. Hello. So what happens is, the movie's broken up into sequences, and they come out of layout and go to animation. And then when a sequence comes out, you can request shots if you want. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I always try though, because you look at like what sequences are coming out, and you're like, oh my god, I really want like that shot. It looks like so much fun. So you can ask for that, and maybe you'll get it, or maybe you'll get like something like that. It's best not to ask for like a particular one and just like, oh, please cast me like a really fun like physical shot next, or like an acting shot next, or like I want to work on this character. And then that's something that the supervisors and directors can work with you on. So the animation supervisors, there's like 2 of them on the show, and they cast out the shots to the animators. And then you go into this meeting with the director and the supervisors, knowing what your shot is, and then the director will tell you like, oh, this is what is supposed to happen in this shot, like this is the feeling I want. And then you go back to your desk and you're like, oh god, how do I do this? And then and then wait, what was the question? Did I answer this? And then you animate it.
How's the work?
Oh, how do you get the work? Oh, yeah. So then you get like your shot, or like a chunk of shots.
Okay.
And then usually you, as the animator, work with the other animators on the sequence and sort of brainstorm what's going to happen, just so nobody like goes off on their own and does anything too crazy, because that would obviously mess everyone up. So if you, yeah.
So is it multiple shots in a row within the sequence?
Yeah. Sometimes it depends. It depends on what the sequence is. If it's like maybe an action sequence with like very short cuts in the to the shots, like the shots are all really short, and like then you would want one animator sort of doing a lot of them just for continuity. Like you don't want like somebody doing 10 frames of like and then handing it off to someone else. That would be silly. But if it's maybe more of like a slower sequence, then maybe you would only get like one shot or like less in a row, just because it's usually for continuity, like wherever it makes sense to like hand it off, like you finish your little like phrase of whatever's happening, and then I guess that's how they cut it out. Do
you animate all characters within a shot?
So again, that depends. Usually if you can, it's good for the animator to animate sort of everything that's happening in the shot, like that the characters are doing, or anything that they're interacting with. But if it's maybe got a lot of people in it, then they break it out into like there's the characters that are talking, there's the characters that are in the background, or they break it up if it looks like it's going to be a ton of work for one animator to do. Then it's always better to like, it's collaborative anyway. So if you can divide it up, then that's good. But if it makes sense for one animator to do everything, then that's good also, because then you have control of the whole scene, and then you can stage everyone correctly. Otherwise, it's a little bit, more difficult to get with a bunch of people. But yeah.
Interesting. When is the first time that you show the director what you're doing? Like, do you already have a blocking pass completed, or how does that work?
So I think it's best to check in with the director as soon as possible. If you have, because the main thing that you want to do is get your idea bought off on, so you can do what you do best, which is just animate. Sure. So whether that's if you have like something really crazy that you came up with, then sometimes it's best to check in like maybe the next day and pitch them, maybe verbally even, your idea, like, well, I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different. And then, you see how that goes. The main thing you want to avoid is going down like the wrong path for too long and like, wasting a lot of time like doing something that's not what fits what the director wants. So it's best to, if you know what you're doing and you like really understand what the director wants, then you can just, block it out and be like, all right, I'm pretty sure I hit this. So then let me show you that. But if it's something that where you think you're trying to like change things or figure it out, then it's best to like maybe even just do some thumbnails or verbally like talk to the director. So yeah.
I wonder a little bit about what your personal process is of approaching a shot, because I know that every animator has like different things that they do. We had Jeff Gabor was here one time, and he was telling about how he's practically famous for his reference videos on the internet.
So good. He's such a good actor.
Yeah, it's so much fun to see him act the stuff out.
Yeah, and then see that translate into the characters.
Fascinating.
So I'm not as good of an actor. I feel like I move around too much, so like it's not good. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the shot what my workflow is. If it's a acting shot, then I do try to do reference because I feel like you want to capture all those like little nuances. Although I don't follow my reference as one-to-one as probably someone like Jeff does, who. I feel like I don't have control of my body. That's why I'm an animator, so I can tweak things and undo it. But I know what I'm going for with my reference. So if anyone else were to see it, then it would be like, what? Why is your face doing this? But I know what I'm going for, so I can tweak my reference. I don't really follow my reference maybe as one-to-one as some people would who are better at acting than me. So I do that for maybe acting shots and maybe from here up sort of shots. Sure. And if it's something more physical or cartoony, then I like doing sketching it out. Okay. So this is something that some of our animators do. We do a 2D pass because I feel like that's maybe quicker than blocking it out. Yeah. Just because you don't have to mess around with the rig.
So thumbnail size or?
Big size. We use TV Paint. Do you know this program? So I'll sort of draw over the layout of the shot and just do something not super refined or anything, but just enough to get the idea. So I'll do a quick blocking pass in 2D, which it takes about as long as reference shooting it and cutting it together. And I feel like I have more freedom to move things around than what my body can do if it's something cartoony and stuff where you can't physically do that. So I feel like I would do a 2D pass for maybe cartoony stuff and reference for more acting stuff. But I again don't follow my reference precisely because it's weird.
So yeah, I think it's very interesting to know that each animator has a little bit of a different approach, and you need to find what works for you.
And what works for the shot that you're doing, so it depends on that also.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything that was particularly challenging, your most difficult shot, and how did you solve that problem that you had? I know what the most difficult shot was, and I don't know what the elegant solution is. So it's probably Ferdinand, just because I haven't worked with quadruped sort of things a lot. So I feel like for me, animating humans is easiest because I know what they look like, and I prefer shots that are maybe subtle acting shots. So animating Ferdinand, he's this giant bull, and you have to deal with his legs and his tail and his giant body and turning him around and stuff. So I had some shots at the end of Ferdinand where he's in the ring with the matador, and he has to it's not to spoil the movie or anything, but he lives. So, and by, protesting the fight. So he sits down and then everyone is like, oh yes, Ferdinand, let him live sort of thing. So, so I had to do these shots where he was sitting and then sniffing all these flowers and just dealing with his body and making it look nice is really hard. And then the cameras kept changing. So I guess the challenge was this character that I wasn't used to animating because he's a quadruped, and then dealing with a lot of changes due to production, they switched up the shots and stuff. And then the solution to that was to just
spending the time to fix it. For this shot, I did do some 2D work. So this was like a case where like I knew things were changing. I'd like animated the shot once already, and then got the note of like, oh, we want to shoot it from the other side, which is difficult. So I guess in this case, like the fastest thing was to like draw over my shots. So I like did like a 2D pass over it rather than like jump right into reblocking. Because like when you get these notes to like change everything notes, it's so frustrating, and like you just want to like go and bang your head on your desk. So it's like it's hard to reset yourself and like I don't know, get back in the mindset where you still feel like creatively attached to the shot and feel inspired by it. So for me, the way to do that is like drawing. Like I feel more connected to the characters that way because I'm not like messing with the computer. So that's my sort of like reset myself way to do things. So I guess that's how I tackled that.
Cool. And on contrast, what was your favorite shot to do and why?
Can I switch movies?
Yeah, sure.
So favorite shots ever probably were in Peanuts, which is the movie that we worked on, let's see, 2 before Ferdinand, but that was the last movie before Ferdinand that I worked on. It was like Peanuts and then Ice Age and then Ferdinand, but I skipped Ice Age. But I was the lead for the little red-haired girl in Peanuts, and then I had this chunk of shots at the end where she's like talking to Charlie Brown, and she's like, "Oh, I noticed all of the nice things you did and whatever." And it's like really sweet, and and I like those moments a lot, so I like felt connected to those moments. It's like, oh, it's like such a sweet moment, and so that's what I like doing. Like I just felt like happy working on those shots. So it was just like I feel like my mood changes depending on the shots I'm working on. Like if it's like like, oh, I have to be angry, that I'm feeling angry at my desk sort of thing. But this was like a really sweet moment, and like I just felt like like happy working on them. Like I don't know, stupid. But yeah.
I mean, that's what we do as animators. We capture feelings, we bring them into other characters that are not real, that don't have these feelings. Until we come along. So amazing. Yeah. So how does that work in a big studio like that? Are you like assigned a character? Do you do most shots for the same character?
That is ideally what happens. Okay. So the way they do it at the beginning of the movie, we go through like this process of like pre-production. So there's a small team of people that sort of like jump ahead on like the next movie in production. They like work with the characters and the rigs and developing them. So they're with these characters from the very beginning, and they're like assigned to them like at that point. Or that's ideally how it works. It doesn't always work like that. So then you get your character and you follow it like all the way through that character's development process, doing like tests with them and making sure the rig works. And then you can't do all the shots with that character because that would be too much, obviously. But as the character lead, you're responsible for you do a lot of shots with that character, and then other animators who are working on that character, they sign up for like rounds and then check in with you, and you make sure that what they're doing in that shot is like something the character would do, and you can give notes on like keeping the character on model or like suggestions for acting choices. Ultimately, it's up to the director, but you're sort of in charge of like making sure that character stays consistent throughout the movie with all the different animators that are working on it. Yeah.
Great. So, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is starting to learn animation, maybe wants to work at a big studio like Blue Sky? What would your advice be?
Advice. Well, you have to really love animation. It's really hard, but it's really fun. So, advice would be, I'm trying to think of like the best advice ever, but really it's just like keep animating. I guess I mean, I sort of like accidentally figured this out, but it's like making use of the people around you. I think that's where I learned the most in school and at the studio is just from like your fellow animators, like just checking in with them if you're stuck on something. Like I guess where I get frustrated and like stuck on things is when like I sit by myself for too long and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. This looks awful, but I don't understand why. And if you just like ask somebody to look at it, like a friend or anything, like just anyone just getting fresh eyes on your shot is really helpful. So I guess just maybe the advice would be not being too precious with your stuff and not being afraid to show it to like anyone and get notes from anyone because I don't know, like it's people are helpful and like you shouldn't be like afraid to show your work or like afraid of getting notes from anyone because everyone has something to offer and that's what we're making animation for is to share with everyone. So I think that's what helps you grow as an animator and is just like I don't know, being able to take notes well and work with other people well and I don't know, and learning from other people. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for these insights and this inspiring advice. And thank you, Lisa Allen.
Thank you, Ferdinand. Have my Ferdinand shirt on.
Yeah, it's because of me, right?
The inspiration.